This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
You're listening to Talking Heads with Naughty and Mary Jane. Only on Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM.
Kane is in the building.
Already the show goes on all night till the morning. We dream so long. Anybody ever wonder when they will see the sun? Just remember when you come up, the show goes on.
Talking Heads with Naughty and MJ is brought to you by Burger King, Fine Threads, John's Department Store, KFC, Naughty Johnny's, NRG Nutrition, St. Andrew's School, and Prince Monsters.
Have you ever had the feeling that you was being had? Don't that shit that make you mad? Slade, put chains all on your soul and put whips up on your back. They be lying through they teeth, hope you slip up off your path. I don't switch up, I just laugh. Put my kicks up on they desk, unaffected by they threat, and get busy on they. See, that's how that Chateau made me. That's how my daddy raised me. That glittering may not be gold, don't let nobody play me. If you are my homeboy, you never have to pay me. Go and put your hands up.
You've got it locked and loaded to the Wednesday, January 14th edition of Talking Heads. Your boy Naughty along with MJ in your company right up until 6 p.m. Fully loaded show today. As promised, we told you we're going to have a special guest today. And of course, you know, when we here at Talking Heads say we're going to have special guests, we have special guests. And today is Wednesday. And as promised, as mentioned from last week, we have Captain Prescott Smith is our special guest today, president of the Bahamas Sport Fishing and Conservation Association. We'll be getting to him in short order. But it is Wednesday, hump day. MJ, what's going on, mamacita?
Oh, good.
Mi azúcar morena, ¿cómo tú estás?
So yesterday felt like a Monday, but today kind of feels like a Thursday.
Actually, I tell you the truth. Today,
It's flying by really quickly.
The short week's getting to me, but hopefully after this week, we'll get into some normalcy with a couple of weeks that run in succession.
No more holidays till, I guess, March or April, so we'll get there.
That's a good little break.
A break from a holiday usually is.
We can't have a holiday every week, man.
Agreed. But they do feel good.
We've done it running behind in productivity, man. As a nation, we don't need too many holidays. If we get it all caught up to snuff and get where we need to be, then I say add more holidays onto the books, by God. But
yeah,
make it worthwhile. Make us earn it.
I don't think that the holidays affect the productivity, but that's another conversation for a different day.
I agree with you partially. There are other mitigating factors that contribute to the lack of productivity. But I also
in some cases, not all cases.
I will also say that cerveza and libations go against productivity as well, too.
If you say so.
And we do them in abundance here in the Bahamas. In abundance.
We surely do.
All right. So, with that being said, we got lots to talk about today. We do have our special guest coming up. If you want to chime in, you want to be part of the conversation, here's how.
Here's how you head. Brought to you by BTC.
Text lines powered by BTC. 422-GR96, 422-4796. I agree. One of the texts last week said you need to read the numbers.
No texter said that.
But yeah, next week you need to read the numbers. Phone lines open in New Providence, 323-6232, 325-4259, 325-4316. Toll free in any one of the Family Islands, 242-300-5720, 242-300-5720.
You got to do something. So there you go. Read the numbers.
Shut up. Stream us live, take us wherever you want to go.
Right, Chris, you got to do something, right?
Hey, Mr. Producer, with friends like you, who needs enemas? That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, goodness.
All right, stream us live, take us wherever you want to go, GuardianTalkRadio.com. That's GuardianTalkRadio.com. Cable channel 969, BTC Flow channel 612. That's how you get it in. That's how you get it on for fresh news, smart talk all day, right here on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. I saw that mind of yours working, that beautiful mind. I'm like, you know what? Something smart coming out of that mouth in a minute. Watch. Boom, walk right into it. And in the words of Eddie Murphy, yeah, you got me good on that one. My mouth was open.
Just jokes.
You know what?
What?
I got to bring that buckwheat On Friday, we playing some of the buckwheat classics.
Okay, strange, but all right.
Hooking Panub in all
Must
the
be
wrong
relevant
places.
somehow, right?
Well, we made the reference the other day, joking off this extended VAT relief, whatever that is. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. And it caused me to dig in Eddie Murphy files. I ended up watching Raw.
You went down the rabbit hole?
Went down the rabbit hole, went all through trading places. And then said, you know what, we're going in for Saturday Night Live, the best crew, the best cast of Saturday Night Live ever.
Yeah, I agree. That was the best cast.
And man, listen, I was laughing my behind off from start to finish with that. And I was like, you know what, we're going to bring down Friday, we playing Buckwheat, courtesy of Eddie Murphy, Saturday Night Live. The whole album, we playing it. So get your favorites in. Text them in now. If you know what I'm talking about. And you should if you like comedy. Text them in. Now, like I said, we'll get to the break. Flip side of the break, we'll jump in with our guest, Mr. Prescott Smith, our Captain Prescott Smith, president of the Bahamas Sport Fishing and Conservation Association. We have lots to talk about. And you know, protecting our waters, conserving our marine life, our reefs, our blue holes, our bone fishing flats, that's all very important to us. All right, and we need to establish, the protocols on how to do that and have a great conversation with Captain Smith, and that's coming up on the flip side of the break. So keep it right where you got it. The Wednesday, January 14th edition of Talking Heads with Naughty and MJ continues right after this.
One in the air for the people ain't here. Two in the air for the father that's there. Three in the air for the kids in the ghetto. Four for the kids that don't wanna be there. None for the trying to hold him back. Five in the air for the teacher not scared to tell those kids that's living in the ghetto that the holding back that the world is theirs. Yeah, the world is yours. I was once that little boy, terrified of the world. Now I'm on a world tour. I will give up everything, even start a world war for these ghetto girls and the world for Africa to New York, Haiti then I detour.
Naughty Johnny's restaurant can only be described as the experience you want to recreate again and again and again. Their motto is simple food done well. You're welcome into their home at Naughty Johnny's, where you can dine on crack conch fritters, and other Bahamian favorites. There's also an international flair that's guaranteed to offer something for everyone. Enjoy a good meal and listen to a live band on their patio Friday and Saturday nights, or brunch on Saturday and Sunday, only at Naughty Johnny's restaurant in the Old Town Plaza, Old Fort. They're open 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Friday, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. on Saturday, and 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. on Sunday. Naughty Johnny's, well worth the
You try to rest, but roll with the best. For all your printing needs, there ain't no one better, no. For posters and banners, magazines and flyers, for window decals, greeting cards and newsletters. No job too big and there's no job too small. You name it, we can print it, just give us a call. Let Print Masters bring your masterpiece to life.
Located in the Nassau Guardian Building, telephone 302-2361.
Crunch boring lunches and enjoy real food at a real good price with KFC's value deals. For $5.95, you can get a famous bowl and drink or a one-piece chicken box. For max value, grab a value box. That's a piece of our iconic chicken, nuggets, cheesy mashed potato, a buttery biscuit, fries, a dessert biscuit, and soda, all for just $9.95. KFC value deals have got the crunch that you're looking for. KFC knows value, and it's finger-licking good.
You're listening to Talking Heads with Naughty and Mary Jane. Only on Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM.
It's time for The Buzz. What are you buzzing on? Brought to you by John's Shoes.
The show goes on all night till the morning. We dream so long. Anybody ever wonder when you come up? The show goes on all right, already. The show goes on all night till the morning. We dream so long. Anybody ever wonder when they would see the sun go? Just remember when you come up. The show goes on.
Have you ever had the feeling that you was being had? Don't that shit that make you mad? They treat you like a slave, put chains all on your soul and put whips up on your back. They be lying through their teeth, hope you slip up off your path. I don't switch up, I just laugh, put my kicks up on they desk, unaffected by they threats. Then get busy on they. See, that's how that shit tell me, man. That's how
We're back at you on the Wednesday, January 14th edition of Talking Heads with Naughty and MJ. It is the Buzz segment, all brought to you, of course, by John Shoes. We are into the buzz, and we're going to be talking about some hot topics today with our special guest, Captain Prescott Smith, president of the Bahamas Sport Fishing and Conservation Association, as well as a former member of Parliament for the Mount Moriah constituency, as well as a well-known local attorney, Mr. Code Smith. And disclaimer, Code is my buddy. We often buck at Wells Service Station in the early morning hot potty coffee newspaper run before they are all gone.
Yes.
So good to see you. And Mr. Captain Smith, welcome. Finally glad to meet you in person. And I want to thank you for your years of service, obviously, as far as being a member of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, and then for all that you've learned and taught us over the years about our natural resources, our bone fishing flats, our resources, like I said, very important. Now I sit back and I say, well, now I finally met C. Allen and Captain Prescott Smith. The two teachers of Graham Weatherford and Lincoln Bain. There you go. So I want to thank you all. But glad to have you here. And obviously we have lots to talk about in relation to our marine resources. And obviously the hot topic and the hot headlines fees, the cruising fees, so on and so forth. But you're here to discuss the environmental aspect of it too. Bone fishing is near and dear to me. One of my first assignments that more than 94 years ago, Henry Saunders sent me on, not Galen, but his dad, was to cover the bone fishing tournaments down there in Exuma at Georgetown. Peace and Plenty Inn, some of the best stew conch I still ever had in my life. I got down there. But bone fishing was quite an experience. And I learned at an early age, being a city slicker, that that's our version of fly fishing. I could understand why millionaires from America, like Ted Turner, just one, for example, would come down year after year and fly fish and bone fish in our waters and in our archipelago. So it's always been near and dear to me. And then obviously the environment. I'm a big proponent against anti-oil drilling. I want to protect our reefs. I want to protect our shores. I want to protect our flats, our bone fishing flats especially. And so anything environmental, is important to us. And obviously we got lots to talk about. And I've seen a proliferation. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Proliferation.
What is my word? Digitization.
Yeah, that.
I got it now, though.
And I got anyway.
Everyone trips them up, right?
Correct.
You see why they say behind every successful man is a good one.
No, this on the side and in the front, never behind. Never behind.
I got you.
But obviously we've seen a plethora. How about that one?
That's a good one.
All right. And I got up off the mat on that one. A plethora of TikTok and Facebook and Instagram posts from foreign anglers that come in and, for lack of a better word, brag on, dude, look what we caught. We caught some wahoos, we caught some dolphin, and we're making fresh conch salad. And while I appreciate them showing the beauty of the country, which cannot be denied, and it shows, why folks from foreign love to come and play in our waters. But at the end of the day, we have to protect it for Bahamians. Bahamians need to benefit from it. And if we're going to be in the tourism industry, like we've hitched many wagons to as a nation, then we need to protect certain segments of that tourism product. And I think, environmentally, we need to look at it because that's a major component of what we do as far as tourism.
I think first I needed to say it's a privilege to actually be here on your show with you and your wife. That's wonderful to see couples work together like that. And
we're happy to have you. We are.
There you go. And it's been a long time coming, so glad to have you here.
Yes, and to address something that's very important in our national interest. I just would like to give a brief background on how I got started with it, because I think it's important for the public to boating fee issue just to be narrowed down, right? When I left the Defense Force, I remember fishing a female astronaut, and she said to me, Prescott, she said, the United States government is aware of the significant marine nursery system and environment that you have in the Bahamas, which is unique globally. And she said, but be careful. People aren't going to come in your country and tell you you have a gold mine until they are controlling it. And she said, I chose the Bahamas because from outer space, it was the most beautiful waters on the planet, and NASA uses the geography of the Bahamas as a major navigational aid, because if you look at all the shallow banks and so forth. And during my time in Defense Force, Naughty and MJ, I didn't really connect these dots like that. We would see the poachers coming from Dominican Republic, Honduras, Cuba, the United States, all around fishing in our waters. But when she shared that with me, it was like you turning a light switch on. The room was no longer in darkness, because then I understood how significant the geography was in the Bahamas. Not only we had these vast amount of shallow banks, but we had the nursery system that feeds them with marine resources. Now, I fish another angle. He said, Prescott, I got
to ask one quick question before we proceed. Which American female astronaut did you bonefish? Was it Sally Ride?
No.
She was the first U.S. woman in space, or was it Catherine Sullivan?
No, none of them I fished.
Or was it Mae Jemison?
No. I'll have to look at the date, because it was in 1993.
Maybe it was Eileen Collins, the first female shuttle commander, or Peggy Whitson, the most U.S. spaceflight time in the history of U.S.
Yeah, it was just
space
a half day.
aeronautics.
It was a half day. I fished at Small Oak Bay Lodge.
Okay.
Yeah.
I touched on that because I wanted to show
Yes.
the audience how many people from all around the world, like you said,
Yeah.
love the bonefish flats of the Bahamas. Just love it.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So I think it's important to share that background to show you that when I got into this whole issue of trying to share about our wealth, it was about developing industries to empower Bahamians. And so even with the bone fishing, even though I took that part, it wasn't to the detriment of the other resources that we have. It's just my father was the first Bahamian to build a fishing lodge. And so therefore, he started this with empowering guides so that they could become owners of lodges. Because he said if you wanted them to not net the bonefish and to have an appreciation to protect it, you have to empower them. And so that's how this journey started. And we'll get more into it, but I think it's quite historic to be here on your show, because I think the Bahamians will have a totally different perspective on this issue of just focusing on boating fees and see it as our number one resource in the country is our marine environment besides our citizens. You say?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know that you've said that the discussion is kind of narrowed right now. So just tell us before we really get into it, just tell us in plain terms, how would you like to see the conversation expand? Or what is it that we're not talking about that we should be talking about?
Yeah, I want Bahamians to have full clarity on this issue. And the reason why I'm in a position to do that, and you will understand why Code Smith is a very important part of this conversation, why he's here. First of all, when I went to Cabinet over 24 years ago, there was a customs officer who I would consider an unsung hero. His name is William Bill Poitier. And he helped to gather the data of all the boats that come into the different ports around the country.
Okay.
And that was the first major adjustment with the boating fees. And of course, there was this huge outcry about boycott the Bahamas. We're going to go to the different, actually the same thing you're hearing now, right? If you don't know the history of it and it's narrowed down to just fees, the issue really is when I got into developing the fly fishing industry, the issue of these Bahamians benefiting from our marine environment, it was about this is our oil and diamond and platinum. And the citizens of the country should be benefiting from the true resources of our country. So notice what the issue is. If somebody says to you, a boating fee is $500, it's too much.
Right, for craft under 50 feet, correct?
Yes, and then if you divide that by 365 days, it's $1.36 a day, right? But nobody complains about that marina making $500 a day or $1,000 a day. depending on which marina you go to. So the issue really isn't about the $500. The issue is where the $500 is going to. Because, first of all, Bahamians need to understand that all seabed in this country belongs to the citizen. The issue of the fee is accessing our marine resources. And I would point out a few things before we get further in depth in this. As it's important, Naughty and MJ, that we share things that cannot be refuted in any way. So I've studied resources all over the planet. The Bahamas have the largest flats and bonefish population in the world. The Bahamas is a huge country. It's just an ocean state. 85% of our country is beneath the surface of our waters. So it's not a little country that the myth of 700, we have 700 islands, 2,300 keys. The Bahamas has the largest concentration of blue holes in the world. The Bahamas has more coral reefs than the United States, Mexico, or any country in the Caribbean or the Western world. The Bahamas has the third largest barrier reef on the planet. We are not an insignificant nation, but if we have been taught that way, it's some important background I need to give you to add to this. Code Smith, the director of Marine Resources, we hired a jet. I've been at this for 30 plus years. This is a long journey. It wasn't about just bone fishing or fly fishing. We went to the world headquarters in Florida. Michael Brennan was there, Livingston Marshall, the permanent secretary in the Prime Minister's office, Joel Moxie, and Code Smith. And we sat down with the president of the International Game Fish Association, and the Americans, Naughty, were very arrogant to us and very insulting. You know what they said? Said, who the hell is it? We've been running things in the Bahamas before 1973. And they were based in Abaco. Okay. So I said to the Bahamians in the room, I said, if we want to empower our citizens through our true resources, which is mostly the marine environment, I said, we have to take this from the shallow water. We will never get legislation passed because they control the ocean space already because of our development model of marinas, touristic development, and marinas. And Naughty, that's how the whole issue came up with fighting for the fly fishing and the bone fishing industry, not because we were just only focused on it. And it took us 22 years to get that legislation passed.
Let me just ask that question. Is that the legislation that you push for regarding having a specific bone fishing permit?
Yeah, for fly fishing. Yeah, but I wanted to say it wasn't just about only bonefish. The legislation was passed in 2016. And some of the same characters who are fighting about this boating fee, this is why it's so important to be on your show so that we can put this into context and really give Bahamians accurate information about who was there fighting for them and who was there fighting against them. The flats fishing legislation was the first in our country's history for Bahamians to be owners in our tourism industry. Never in the history before that there was intense battle, Naughty. It didn't matter which administration was in, to block that legislation because it was a shift from the way tourism was says, you come in the Bahamas, you build a resort, but Naughty and MJ should only work in that resort. Mm-hmm. You see? So those who are making all this noise about the boating fees were right in the room trying to stop that legislation from passing. And this is why I can bring full perspective to this, because you're sitting in a room with the Bahamian who has gone through Hubert Ingram, Perry Christie, Hubert Minnis, and now the current Prime Minister. I started out with Pierre DePuche, and now I'm with Jomo Campbell. That's Minister number 13 in Fisheries.
Quite a lot. Yeah.
I started out in 93.
Lucky number 13.
from Brent Simonet, I'm going to Chester Cooper. This is number 8. So because I've never quit on this issue, and we're going to talk of how code here, because I went to many attorneys who would not take up the issue, and they did not want to challenge, because this is a big fight. This is not just about boating fees. This is about shifting a model to say, Naughty, MJ, and your great unborn generations are to be owners of a country that is one of the richest on the planet. So, Pierre Depuch, they have to give credit where it's due, because I went through all of the administration. It's not a partisan issue. Pierre Depuch made history, and he stood up for us when the doors meet left, right, and center. He laid the foundation for Alfred Gray. Yes, if he did not stand up in 94, Alfred Gray would have nothing to drive it, to finish it off with the legislation. Because in that room, there were Americans and Canadians who was fighting Pierre Depuch, and Pierre Depuch said, who's that young man over there, Prescott Smith? I want him to come and sit by me and give the closing. And then he told us, he said, young man, he said, if you want to implement national laws, you have to form a national association. And Naughty, that's how we went on the track of only focusing on the shallow water.
Okay.
So if you notice who was fighting the legislation, the Marina Association.
Right.
Right? So you have to see, why were they fighting the thing? Because the model was about sharing with the Bahamian public that you are to be true owners of a country that has this incredible wealth.
What's a little perplexing to me is everybody should have their own space in this industry. I look at it as stand-up comedians can make money doing stand-up comedy. Sketch comedians could do it. So it's an industry that's there. I don't take away from you. You don't take away from me. And we support each other in the product, keeping it going for years and years and years, because I'm with you on generational inheritance for Bahamians.
But
so I get that. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to figure out, how does a cruising permit or a marina fee or a docking permit or a docking fee affect bone fishing?
Very good question.
How does it
fly fishing?
Fly fishing.
Yeah.
Very good question, Naughty. This is why it's so important. We're going to get to it. What I showed the government, I went to cabinet and I did a presentation 4.5 hours, and I went to all these islands and did not put down what Prescott Smith wanted to say. I put down what I got from you, MJ, Code, and the Bahamians and the islands. And what we showed the government was there were these huge motherships, 100+ foot yachts, 3 and 4 flats boat, that are running floating lodges all around the Bahamas. So what you find out, the upcry about boating fees, you first have to separate, because you want to welcome boaters who are legitimate boaters who love the country, want to inspect it, but then you have to look at who's running illegal operations. Like you see all of the arrests that took place in Black Point.
Right.
Yes. Who's running it, whether it's a sports fishing yacht, whether it's a center council boat, whether it's a huge mega yacht with 3 and 4 flats boats, and they would access the flats and they would fly in one group of anglers after the next. So there were many issues.
No, I hear you. But in a situation like that, why wouldn't it be a pinpoint approach to that? Why does it have to be industry-wide fee increases when you have, what you're talking about is illegal activity, correct? So why wouldn't you use a scalpel and deal with those persons as opposed to affecting the whole marine industry with these fee increases? Because according to them, and we had a conversation with them last week, they are seeing a 30 to 50% decline in customers, and that is significant.
And that's based on...
You can enter the conversation, Mr. Smith.
Make
please.
sure Mr. Smith's mic is...
Enter the conversation. That is what...
Well, we have two Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith and Captain Smith. So
we'll
Mr.
say
Code and Captain is first.
And Mr. Smith. Okay.
Listen, the reality is, yes, there's been some lax, but keep in mind now, the boating industry is cyclical.
Sure.
And right now we're in the down season. So when the people came on your show and talking on the internet very deliberately, they are naturally telling an untruth. Right when Mr. Peter Murray, and I can call his name because I know him.
Now, hold on now. In all fairness,
Now, hear me out.
we're going to keep it 100 because he's not here to represent.
No, I'm making a point.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm just making it.
I am not attacking him. Just let me say what I'm saying.
Okay.
When he was on, saying a lot of things about the industry going down,
Right.
the industry going, we losing
About-
people.
And with all due respect, Cody, before you get into it, with all due respect, the same way that Captain Prescott Smith knows about the resources, the flats and everything, Peter Murray for over 40 years, 50 years, has been in the business and knows that aspect of it, in all fairness.
I'm not making a comparison.
So, but I'm just saying, it's like Muhammad and Mountain both up to the table.
What I'm saying, though, is when he was talking about the business going away,
Right.
at that same time, his marina and many major marinas were full. As a matter of fact, now mind you, I'm not getting into.
I mean, is that anecdotal though,
Well,
or do you have this data to back that up?
I'm just saying to you, at the end of the day, we all have to pay attention when we lose business because of one thing or the other.
Right.
And we have to sometimes look at it very carefully. But to answer your question that I think was never really addressed is that what we need to establish a foundation for the whole industry, not just fishing,
Right.
for boating as well. And that is the environment and protecting and conserving the environment. So the increase in the fees, perhaps what the ministers need to be doing now is explaining how the increase is going to be allocated to different things.
And do you know whether these fees that they collect are those figures ring fenced? I mean, we talk about the environment, but if they're just collecting the fees, it's all going into the consolidated fund. There's no amount ring fenced. So tell us about that part about it.
There is a provision in the legislation that you're talking Prescott
For
about
a fund?
a moment ago. And in there, what was supposed to, and they have copies.
Okay.
A certain percentage of it's supposed to go into a conservation fund.
Okay.
It's supposed to be collected and put there for
It's
environmental.
supposed to be collected by the government? Who's supposed to collect it?
You told me not to call names. I don't want to call names.
Who's supposed to collect it?
No, you could.
No. I prefer not to right now.
Not to say who's collecting the fees?
No.
Okay.
I prefer not to say who is collecting, who should be collecting. But the government of the Bahamas and its people are entitled to the fees, and whatever fees, a certain percentage goes into a conservation fund. The question is, where is the conservation fund being managed? That's a big question. And I'm going to leave that question and let it hang out there for all who are related to it to answer to it.
I'm sure the minister should
That's
answer.
So then now we need to get the current minister involved to find out what's going on. You put you did like LeBron, you put the powder up in the air.
No.
So then poof. So now we got to figure out where the powder lands.
What you told me, listen, don't call no names. I'm not going to call any names.
All right, don't call any names. But I have to ask you, in your capacity being a former minister, wouldn't eventually whoever collects those funds need to make sure that the government get them? And if the government don't get them, then the government should be proactive rather than reactive, sitting there saying, well, we didn't get, but then again, with no Freedom of Information Act, no Procurement Act, then we can't get these answers.
That brings out one issue, and that's the major issue that I'm here to talk about, and that is the issue of enforcement. The issue of enforcement is very crucial. So you have a lot...
And enforcement is the job of the government, correct?
Yes.
Past, present, and future.
All the time.
All right, we just want to establish that.
The one thing that I want to say from my end is that we have wardens, and his team were very crucial and very effective in making sure the government put in place Mr. Vaughn Miller before he passed away. He put in place, exactly. But he put in place wardens across the board who are all fly fishing guys because they're all over the country.
All right. Speaking of fly fishing guys, Captain Smith, I think it's very commendable that I think it was you that lobbied for the legislation to ensure that Bahamian bone fishing guides went out on most of the tours or most of the excursions or were affiliated with a lodge that would have heads and beds come in order to fish. And to the tune of $600 a day, correct?
Yeah.
And I think that should be applauded. I think especially in bonefish lodges and those type of properties, I don't think you should have foreign guides come in, not to fish our waters.
I need to.
So I think that was good in that process. But how now do I own a yacht. I'm not in a marina. I want to go in the middle of the beautiful Bahamian waters, in between Eleuthera and Exuma. I just want to bounce in between it. Oh, by the way, I know bonefish is plentiful around there. So happens, I want a bonefish. Now, what's the process for me? Do I access it online and sign up for my guide and say, okay, Captain Smith, just the MJ motor vessel, yacht, whatever you want to call it. We're going to be in the archipelago for 10 days. These 3 days, we want to be able to do some bone fishing off of Exuma. We're not moored. We're not, we're open anchored. We're not at a marina. What's the process?
I'm going to tell you that, but I want to, and don't take this is not just blowing smoke to you and MJ, right? You are in an extremely powerful position here to shape the direction of this country by getting accurate. And when you mention about the whole thing about marinas are down, right?
As was reported in the news.
Yes.
I'm sure you've seen it.
And it's not when we say, just so you know, it's not when we say it's reported. When it's reported, not only is it the news media outlets, I have captains in the industry that WhatsApp me pictures every day with one issue or another in the air quotes marine space.
Right.
So,
and I don't doubt that, but I want to share with you so that you put that into perspective, because any attempt, when you look at our history, when you talk about, let's say the three of us, we don't think MJ as a female deserve equality, and we're fighting that, right?
That's a horrible example, but anyway.
No, but I want to show you. I want to show you why.
Past that.
I want to show you why I'm using that example, right? Because the same way you have to fight for the equality that you deserve, anytime you talk about giving Bahamians real ownership in the real resources of the country, there's intense lobbying, right? So this same thing that has happened, because I've dealt with 4 prime ministers, 13 ministers of fisheries, all of these individuals who are making noise about boycott the Bahamas and what the captains are saying, you have to look at what the underlying issue is here, right? You're asking for $1.36 a day, right, from a boat. You're looking at a country that you're looking at how do you deal with the sewage that goes into the water, all of the garbage that comes on the boat. So any attempt by the government to say, we want to get more, because really the government needs to do more. If you look at the tons of on our coastlines around several thousand islands in the country, right? So here is the historic document that you have a copy of it.
Yes, we're definitely going to peruse this.
Yes, but I want to show you how it's connected to the fees.
Okay.
Right? I was lobbying Naughty for years because there's hundreds of blocked nursery systems throughout the Bahamas that need to be restored so that you have more fish, more
and you're talking about the mangroves and the flats,
and the creeks,
that are breeding grounds for the bonefish, among other ecosystems.
So you have many creeks that have been blocked up, and for various reasons. There's some during the logging period when Owens was in here for 27 years. They was logging on Grand Bahama. So if you look at the north side, you'll see creeks that are completely blocked off. Having all these blocked arteries in our body that need to be restored. So there's hundreds of these creeks around the country that we were lobbying. And so Warren Miller took this historic document to the cabinet and got the MOU between the Environmental Defense Fund, the Bahamas Sports Fishing and Conservation Association, and the Ministry of the Environment to lead the initiative. They say, look, we open up these nursery systems, the Spanish well fishermen, the Long Island fishermen, those who visit our country from the hog snapper to the lobster will benefit. Notice the issue here about we're crying about fees. I think we ought to be educating the boating community that if you want to continue to enjoy the rich resources of our country, conservation have to be at the forefront of it. Naughty, I remember on the Defense Force going into Elizabeth Harbor, the bottom was completely dead because of the volume of boats that was dumping their sewage, their gray water into that thing. And we don't think about all the boats come in our country. Are you saying it's too much for the Bahamian people to get $1.36 from you?
In all fairness, $1.36, that does sound minuscule, but if you're here for one weekend, one time from the year, and it's a $500 fee, then that looks like, $250 a day. So I think it's all perspective, correct? And maybe this is a part of the conversation. I've heard what the conservationists, such as yourself, the environmentalists, have said, and I've heard what the mariners have said, and I do believe that there is a lot of room to kind of both get sort of what you want. For your part of it, you want more money flowing into the country so that we can have that the funds in order to preserve our environment. That is very important, right?
Yeah, I don't just want to collect the fees. I want these issues to be at the forefront.
I got you. And the mariners, anyone who's seen a 40% decline in their business because of a government policy absolutely would advocate and kind of agitate for something to be corrected there. I think even the Deputy Prime Minister has acknowledged that they need to do some sort of a review, and I'm going to assume that he's done his due diligence as to whether or not these figures that they're talking about, these massive declines, are accurate. There's also the fact of the knock-on effects, all right? We're hearing from persons that live in the Family Islands talking about, well, my business was running supplies to these boats. My business has declined massively. We heard last week about a lady who invested her own money on washing machines, hired staff, and because of this decline in visitors to marinas, now she has to lay off staff, and the investment she made in the wash machines to do the laundry and stuff like that was for her. So while we do understand that there are certain niche parts of this that we need to really focus on, the overall effect of having the numbers of boaters come into the country, it has a knock-on effect on the rest of the economy, does it not?
Naughty and MJ, you said, I'm not going to call any names. See, but
sure.
When you see me address this issue, I'm always addressing the point of having all the facts, okay, information.
So can you give us some numbers? Just help us see the big picture, because we're still learning about this.
So you need to know that there's a lot of this noise being made because those who had a private contract and collecting millions of dollars no longer have that contract. I'm not going to call any names, but I'm telling you what is going on in the background, right? That contract was canceled because so much revenue that should be accounted for by the government is not accounted for, okay?
Well, okay, I hear you.
And these individuals are making noise. I'm not calling names.
Please don't, because they're not here, and we don't have all of the facts.
I'm already thinking next Friday we need to have all parties here. Y'all open for next Friday?
Yes,
I'm sure they open for next Friday. Let's do that for next Friday.
Not only that, Naughty and MJ, any of these individuals who are opposing these things, I understand the point they're making, but you understand where I'm sitting.
Sure.
When I built Stafford Creek Lodge and my father built Charlie's Haven, it wasn't about building an industry for Prescott Smith. So my concern about being in this marine space is that you, Naughty, and your unborn generations have real ownership when it comes to our resources. Because this isn't just about the yachts, the yachts who will come share with you the illegal activities taking place. You're being on the defense force, right?
Right.
There's the sports fishing yacht that is running the charters. There's the Center Council that is running the charters. There's the sailing yacht. I'm not talking about the legitimate ones now.
Listen, I get all of that. And why I'm saying this now, we got to get to the break, so we got to go over into the 5 o'clock.
Yes.
All right? Let's talk about all of that.
Yes.
The sports consoles, the fishing yachts, all of that. But at the same time, in the 5 o'clock hour, let's talk about how we've shot ourselves in the foot as a nation when it comes to conserving with the way we fish, with fish pots, with nets, and not to mention the Dominican poachers that come in and scavenge everything off the bottom of the floor. I didn't grow up on Emerald Seas, going to Great Salva Key every couple of weeks with my daddy and seeing it. I witnessed it myself. So we have to talk about all of that. Because yes, conservation, that's what me and you agree on right there, my brother. Dap in the middle, conserve it, preserve it, maintain it, sustain it. But we got to do it correctly. And we got to look at all of the mitigating factors that contribute to us having to conserve our natural resources, especially in the fisheries industry. I get it. I'm just as sick of you as seeing Billy from Tampa. We're in the Bahamas and we caught some wahoos and drinking some K-Licks. You can book us out of Pompano next week. No, I get that. But at the same time, it galls me to know that we haven't made any adjustments from an administration standpoint, past, present, and future, to get off of fish pot fishing, to get off of net fishing, because net fishing destroys anything that's schooling.
Even
you and I both know.
The deep pots you're dropping
deep pots,
out there.
that all needs to be addressed. So we got to
Yes.
deal with it all in sundry. It can't just be, well, it's that crew who coming in illegally, who are doing these sport fishing and not paying fees and so on and so forth from right across the waters in Florida. Most of them that are on social media are listed as Florida based. Yes. But at the same time, we got to conserve from our end as well too. I think this is, like you say, Code, we got to find the foundation. And once we find the foundation and the common ground, then we can put the layers on building something sustainable and successful and that will be beneficial to generations.
Naughty MJ, before you go to break, think about it. Have you ever heard any outcry about marina fees?
Well, I heard some outcry about marina fees and some moorings, and I heard about a controversial contract signed in OPM with marinas and moorings, and so yeah, we got to look at it.
Dig deep into that.
Because I was a huge conflict of interest there too.
I know that the fees,
not calling any names since we ain't calling no names today.
I know the fees are important, but there have also been some concerns raised about the ease of doing business, which is something we've heard in the country for a while. You know, the ease of getting certain permits that you require from the government. I understand you guys have a, what is it, FDCC?
Yeah.
The Fishing Digital, right, that permit. And it's supposed to be digital, but apparently it's still paper. So just, sorry?
Who controls it?
Okay, so maybe you guys can give us more information on that and we could get deeper into that. All right, you're listening to with our very special guest today, Captain Prescott Smith, and of course, former member of Parliament, Mount Moriah, Mr. Code Smith. We're happy to have both of them here. Callers, we're going to open up the lines and let you get some calls in the 5 o'clock hour, but we're breaking for the news right now. Listening to Talking Heads, Guardian Radio. We will be right back.
Just remember when you come up, show goes on all night. I'm ready to show goes on all night. Till the morning we dream so long. Anybody ever wonder we never see the sun? Just remember when you come up, show goes on.
John Shoes and Accessories is your one-stop shop for all your footwear needs. You will find what you're looking for among the growing collection of classic and trendy styles with new arrivals every week. John's covers the whole family and has great prices, helpful and friendly customer service. Your experience shopping with us will be time well spent. Shop with us online at www.johnshoes.com. John's also now carries small home appliances, so come on into John's, located on Rosetta Street in Palmdale and Carmichael Road West. John's, we put fashion at your feet.
Struggling to find your financial rhythm? Make that move to Fidelity and let us help you orchestrate your financial goals into perfect harmony with free financial coaching sessions. Make that move today. Call 356-7764.
Fidelity, we're good.
Crunch boring lunches and enjoy real food at a real good price with KFC's value deals. For $5.95, you can get a famous bowl and drink or a one-piece chicken box. For max value, grab a value box. That's a piece of our iconic chicken, nuggets, cheesy mashed potato, a buttery biscuit, fries, a dessert biscuit, and soda, all for just $9.95. KFC value deals have got the crunch that you're looking for. KFC knows value, and it's finger-licking good.
You're listening to Talking Heads with Naughty and Mary Jane. Only on Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM.
Talking Heads with Nazi and MJ is brought to you by Burger King, Fine Threads, John's Department Store, KFC, Naughty Johnny's, NRG Nutrition, St. Andrew's School, and and Prince Masters.
1 in the air for the people ain't here. 2 in the air for the father that's there. 3 in the air for the kids in the ghetto. 4 for the kids that don't wanna be there. None for the trying to hold him back. 5 in the air for the teacher not scared to tell those kids that's living in the ghetto that the holding back that the world is theirs. Yeah, the world is yours. I was once that little boy, terrified of the world. Now I'm on a world tour. I will give up everything, even start a world war for these ghetto girls and boys. I'm rapping around the world for Africa to New York, Haiti then I detour, Oakland out to Auckland, Gaza Strip to Detroit. Say hip hop only destroy. Tell them look at me, boy. I hope your son don't have a and never be a D-boy. Already goes on all night till the morning. We dream so long. Anybody ever wonder when they would see the sun? Just remember when you come up. The show goes on all right. Already the show goes on all night till the morning. We dream so long. Anybody ever wonder when they would see the sun? Just remember when you come up. So no matter what you've been through, no matter what you into, no matter what you see, when you look outside your window, brown grass or green grass, picket fence or barbed wire, never ever put them
We
down.
are back at you on the Wednesday, January 14th edition of Talking Heads. Naughty and MJ and your company right up until 6 p.m. with our special guest, Captain Prescott Smith, and, of course, former member of Parliament for Mount Moriah, Mr. Code Smith, Attorney Code Smith. Glad to have you all back. Good conversation going so far. Very informative, which we appreciate here on Talking Heads because it's about getting the information out. But let me get to a couple of texts and then we can get back to the conversation. Good afternoon, Naughty and MJ. Can you please ask your guest for his thoughts on the annual Blue Marlin fishing tournament held in the Bahamas? I don't know of another country where tourists can do this with a national symbol.
Should I answer that now?
You can answer it now.
Yes, I am very troubled that we show to our national fish. If you go and bill fishing in Mexico, in Panama, they are all catch and release.
Right.
And so, Naughty, you opened up a can of worms. When you talk about how many issues, believe you me, you're spot on.
That's how we get to the solutions, though, Captain Smith.
Yes.
We got to talk about the issues to find the solutions.
Yes. So that's one of the things that we need to be very, very strict and say if you're going to have any such tournament in our country with our national fish, it's all catch and release. Not this ego of I got to hang it up at a dock at the end of the day, because with technology you can measure those things with cameras, proper tapes that are certified. And you'll know exactly what that length of that fish, that weight of that fish is. You don't have to kill the fish.
The only way, Naughty, that the symbol of the Bahamas, the coat of arms or whatever, even if it is a national fish, can be used is if the minister responsible for that area gives a permission that he gets from the cabinet of the Bahamas.
And I do believe that's national security. Yeah.
Normally what is supposed to happen is before that is even allowed, you have to look very carefully to see which ministry or which department of the government would be conducting the tournament. It cannot just be someone from
whose
Florida.
auspices it falls under.
Yeah, no.
Right.
All right, here's another one. Good afternoon, Naughty and MJ, and to your guests. I noticed that even with the increased boating fees, it took the Royal Bahamas Defense Force to get up off their duff and go out and patrol the waters to find them. I'm sure those who are breaking the law don't mind paying the exorbitant fees, but now it sounds to me like a black-white issue aimed at shutting out the mariners who have been making money.
No, it's not a black-white issue at all.
Not at all. Like I say, the issue for me is long-term, the sustainability of our resource. And Bahamians have to be true owners in this sector. Naughty, let's look at...
What percentage of the marinas are owned by Bahamians? Just, do you know off the top of your head?
I don't even think 10%. But that's not...
You're saying 10% of marinas
that
in this
would be
country
high.
are not owned by Bahamians?
No,
I don't think...
Bahamians.
Yes.
10% are owned by Bahamians? Because I think
not more than 10% are owned by Bahamians.
So you're saying that 90% of
the
marinas that are owned in this country are owned by expatriates, owned by foreigners or foreign entities?
I mean, that's... Honestly, let's look at our development model from the inception. It says touristic development and marinas. That was the Stafford Sands model, right? So as a young country, and that's why I used the MJ as an example to show you we made a lot of progress, but every time we try to move forward, you get pushback. There's never been any chance event in this country where you want to move Bahamians closer to ownership when it comes to our resources. Naughty, I'll give you example here. We did a survey because several Marine pilots sit on boards with me, and we tracked these ships going into the United States, 11 different ports, shipping out limestone. And to show you how it ties to this issue, we tracked them going into 11 different ports in the United States. I fish anglers who come to my lodge. Some of them say, Prescott, I have to spend up to $200 million to full one tanker, environmental fee. All these boats coming in our waters. So when you look at the point you made earlier, Naughty, about the amount of issues that we have to address, whether it's the deep traps that are breaking away in the deep water and becomes killing machine, whether it's all the netting that is taking place, whether it's the type of fishing practice where they're breaking the conch out and leaving the shells on the bottom and destroy.
I hear that's the new deed of choice for the Dominican poachers on the bottoms with the respirators and all. They could do up to 1,000 conch in the morning, bag them up, stand them up, and leave the shells down there with no chance to regenerate.
It's the same thing what is happening when we talk about when I remember boarding boats coming in from Florida, 30 to 40,000 pounds of shark fins on board. We have a lot of issues that Bahamians don't even know that we have major commercial fishing, 1,500 to 2,000 feet, where they are exporting the golden crab to Asia. This is going on in our country, and 99% of our citizens don't even know that these resources exist. So the issue for me is, you might look at this yacht as a commercial fishing operation, and then there are those who are legitimate. So we have so much illegal activity taking place. All this boating fee is a reaction where I personally have spoken to some of these brokers who didn't say secondhand, MJ. They said, Prescott, $1.5 million a week to reuse the yacht cruising through the Bahamas. But they're catching the wahoo, they're catching the tuna. And if you look at how does the country benefit from all of these illegal businesses. When we went to New York, I met with the head of the tourism officials there. And I'm quoting her. She said, Prescott, she says, in our database, there are 3,000 foreign homes in Exuma alone that are running as illegal businesses. The government is being defrauded out of hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in this marine space. And my issue is, we're talking about these fees. We should be looking at the fact that educating the boaters to say, if you want to have fish and lobster to enjoy, the destruction of the coastlines in the Bahamas, the destruction of the nursery system, the pollution of all of the sewage and garbage that you bring into the country, which doesn't leave the country, Naughty.
But hold on, let me just ask this question, because I'm entrepreneurial. I'm thinking, okay, I look around the region, and I also look around the world, and I also look around the major places, and that removal of sanitation from yachts and luxury vessels, that is a lucrative business.
Big business.
Wonderful
Big
idea.
business.
So listen, man, I mean,
empower, like many Bahamians, right?
Not only that, if I was the government minister, I would say, Naughty, put a company together and we're going to pay you a few $1 million a year to clean up all the coastlines in our country. And you know where the money is going to come from? The environmental fee from the boaters, from the cruise ship, from the container ships, from the oil tankers.
That's why it's needed.
And we cannot just say we're going to cherish this for the next generation, knowing that tons of garbage are all along the coastline of Andros, Long Island,
not
and
to mention the
Exuma.
cruise ships that we've lost 84% of our tourists to their private islands. They get a slap on the wrist for the bilge jumping as well too.
You got it.
Where do they fall in your? Because I know you're mainly focused on the environment. Where do the cruise ships fall in this conversation?
I have a serious issue with the rape of our country. So the cruise ship industry, MJ, I remember going into the Middle East 4 times doing my research. You, me, or Naughty cannot go to Dubai and own any business the majority shareholder. Why is it that the cruise ship industry uses the marine space of the Caribbean, but you and I don't have one share in it? Why on the cruise ship saying that $10 from every passenger at least goes for an environmental tax? So because they're dumping all the sewage and the gray water in our waters.
Well, that sounds like the government, right? As a matter of fact, a lot of the issues that you've mentioned sound like the government. If in 2026, the majority of marinas, I mean, I'm getting different figures. I'm getting a much higher figure than 10%. But if the majority of the marinas aren't owned by Bahamians, whose fault is that?
No, this is my issue. My issue is how to put Bahamians more and more in ownership. And I'm showing you why this cry is taking place. The very same cry I heard when the legislation was passed for the fly fishing industry. My lodge was put on a global boycott. Some of the board members, we went from fishing 4 or 5 days a week. If you got 1 day in 6 months, you were lucky. The same thing happened with the marine pilots when they were trying to become independent. They didn't work for 2 years in Grand Bahama. That fight is still going on. So Bahamians have to understand that any time when we talk about increasing ownership for the citizens in our marine space, there's this huge outcry.
The question that I do have in that respect, though, is that we have heard these figures. We have heard of loss of business. We have heard of Bahamians that benefit from this industry losing out on customers, losing out on money. I mean, these are real people who have to feed their families from the money that they make from the industry itself. If you have a 30%, 40%, 50% decline in the present time, and I understand your argument that sometimes, we have to go through some things to get where we want to be. I totally get it, but we're living in very unusual times. The cost of food is very rough for Bahamians right now. You have persons, like I said, that have built their businesses around this marine industry, and right now they are suffering because of a policy change. I said initially, I'm not against wholesale fees being increased. Was there a better way to do this, though?
Let me show you. I've sympathized with the Bahamians, and that's the reason why I decided to take this issue on. You and Naughty are in a very powerful position. Invite all of these individuals so that we can debate this issue openly. I want to speak to them face to face because they're just using these lobbying tactics with the captains. Many of these guys, I fish on their yacht. They don't care about paying these fees. Maybe the captain who have their credit card. So you have to look and see who's running all of the content creation on YouTube, who's running the illegal charters. And so now you're clumping down with this structure, and now you're weeding out. So it's the same outcry with the thousands of homes that are $5,000 a week, $5,000 a day, but they're not adding, they don't have a business license, they're not reporting it to the IRS. Our country is so rich, we are attracting people who want to capitalize on our resources. It's a natural thing. It's for us to take control of it, as Naughty pointed out.
It's crazy because we do watch those videos on YouTube and we're like, oh, we can't believe, the way that they're bragging on YouTube. Where's our enforcement?
Well, the enforcement...
Like, if I could see it, he could see it. You're telling me Ministry of National Security can't see it?
The point
You're telling me the Ministry of Finance can't see it?
The fees of what we're talking about can go toward enforcement. And I do agree with you in that the powers that be need to sit down and talk and carefully decide what we're going to do about enforcement.
But see, enforcement, when you use that word enforcement, Mr. Smith, or code.
Yeah, code. Code is fine.
You know he's my homeboy.
Yeah.
I got to look at it because now I'm saying enforcement is key. You got to enforce the collection of the fees. Then we need to also enforce these poachers, especially the Dominican ones that come in and rape and pillage. Because why? They get off with a slap on the wrist, and that makes Bahamians wonder.
That part, as a lawyer, I can tell you that is very bad.
That makes
when
Bahamians
someone
wonder.
Comes in and they poach, you should confiscate their vessel first.
But I have to ask because there's heavy allegations always swirling concerning those Dominican boats as to who's their entities and who has shares in them, i.e. politicians and lawyers allegedly.
It should never matter. Because if you are doing the normal crime, for example, if you're trafficking drugs,
Right.
They take your car. You don't get it back ever.
Correct.
Right.
So if I
So that
catch you
should be
poaching,
happening with the boats as well. I
That's
agree.
now, Captain Smith.
I
Though
agree.
I got to ask you this question: in your time, have you seen a boat that has been brought in for poaching resurface and recirculate in the market?
Unfortunately, I've
Yes.
seen it all of the above.
So it ties back into enforcement. So we need to enforce the fees and the entities on this side that are involved, but we also need the governmental
you know,
support to drive it home.
That is true, but Naughty, I don't want to harp too much on the Hondurans and other people who coming into the country. The Defense Force is doing a fairly good job with that. They can see when they're coming. Where we do not see it is when someone come from Fort Lauderdale and they don't even come. They stop in the Gulf Stream. They drop their net. They catch their fish and they go back. They don't come back. They don't come into Bimini. They don't come into Cat Key. You don't even know they're here. And so we need to enforce on that level. When all the foreigners come into the country, they come around Abaco to do the things, they go look to see if they can catch some bluefin tuna. And they catch them and they carry them back. They don't come in. And we have a lot of that going on.
Let's get to these calls because the
Dave,
call
you've been
lines been
very
lit up all day.
patient. Thank you so much, callers.
Talking Heads.
Hey, Naughty MJ, it's Nico. How are you?
Hi, Nico.
How are you?
Good. Very interesting conversation. Hey, Code, how are you?
All right.
I think what you guys are doing is admirable. However, there were so many variables that are thrown out, and also the concern with the speaker the other day on Peter the other day, and then your side of the situation. I think as a lawyer, to kick in on this and just say, listen, you guys have a common interest. However, all you guys are going to have to sit down, something out, and then address the problem with a united front. Now, Code's statement in terms of enforcement is a glaring reality. We have it with our armed forces here, in Nassau especially, and we have hundreds of thousands of square miles to patrol. Now, there's got to be some solutions with this, with our partners to the north and the like, sitting down with you guys that know everything intimately. Now, I'm a former sports fisherman and recreational fisherman, but due to age, I can't do it anymore. I've seen shocking things on the ocean, as many recreational and sports fishermen for tournaments and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. I've seen Dominicans with nets all the way up in Exuma netting mahi-mahi or dolphin. And we called it in to, to the Defense Force. We called the U.S. Embassy. We did a whole bunch of things. But it was just a matter of enforcement. And you wouldn't want to get close to them because they'll open fire on you.
Good points, Nico. We got to get to these other calls, man. Great stuff as always.
Thank you.
Talking Heads. Call us back, caller. Talking Heads.
Hello, hold on. He coming right now.
I hear what you mean. Hold on. Hurry up and come to this phone, buddy.
Where he going?
Where you going?
Oh, goodness. Yeah, okay. We're only live, but yeah, we'll wait a second.
So you may as well tell us who you are. You the spokesperson.
Hello. Hi, Talking Heads.
Hello.
I think he's.
But why
we're going to put you on pause for a moment, and we'll come right back to you. Hopefully, he'll be back.
The publicist was doing a good job. I don't know why they stopped talking.
While he's coming, but I can tell you what Nico is saying is very, very instrumental. That's what I've been saying all along.
Right.
We have to deal with it, and when you see things out there, you have to report it, and hopefully, the Defense Force will become more and more productive and more responsive and get there on time.
Right.
I got another text that raises a very good question. Good afternoon, Naughty, and my favorite host, MJ.
Hi, good afternoon.
Can you please ask Mr. Smith about the residents of Ortec Base that fish indiscriminately everywhere throughout the chain?
That's interesting. You want to comment on that, Mr. Smith? Either Captain or Mr.
Captain Smith is actually from Andrews, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
From the big yard.
There's a lot of abuse when it comes to our fishery. That's why I say to you, my ultimate concern goes back to what Naughty. Either we're going to get serious about protecting these resources, or you can look at history to say, they would be taught on the northeast coast, United States, all the way up. there's no end to the codfish until the fishery collapsed. We know that our grandparents used to go and pick up conch at a lot of places where you don't see them anymore. And so we know that the hog snappers on YouTube, you see how small they're getting?
Yeah,
So-
that's starting to run me out because hog snapper is my favorite fish.
Exactly.
I just had some today, as a matter of
Yes,
fact.
And there's no protection about allowing them to spawn. And we have serious, they now end up every restaurant, the smallest you could get on your plate. Naughty could tell you, we never, and our grandparents never used to bring them in like that, right? So we have a lot of issues that we have to deal. And it is, to me, if we're going to be destroying the coastline, destroying the nursery system, the boating numbers increasing, they're extracting more and more seafood, and we don't put nothing in place environmentally. And I have serious issue with the fees. You can't just say you're collecting fees and what's going to the environment.
Exactly.
I think any boater coming in our country, we have to educate them that, look, the largest concentration of blue holes in the world, the reef, when you come into these waters, you must cherish them. All the garbage you bring into this country, you have to get used to paying an environmental fee and not just sending that money into the public treasury, into some dark
Exactly, because
place.
even as you speak about your environmental concerns, which I share, we don't have any specific figures right now before us to work with. We don't know how much is being set aside specifically for these items
Yes,
that you have brought to the forefront.
I
So
agree.
that's
That is
problematic.
lacking. That is lacking, and that needs to be put to the fore.
But I want
So
you
that
and
everyone
Naughty,
understand.
I need you and Naughty to do this for me and Code and the Bahamian people. I'm not calling any individual names. I want the Bahamians who are listening to Google SEA, the letter Z.com. And I want you to bring these individuals, whoever they are, and the question they have to ask the Bahamian people, did you have a contract with the government collecting these fees? I already know the answer. My point is, don't use the public for your own personal economic agendas, riling up with this whole lobbying initiative.
All right.
Because that is what is going on here. That's a separate issue.
That is a separate issue. Do we go to the phone lines? Because I have a question.
All right, you got a question. Let's get these
to
calls
the
out
phone
today,
lines, 'cause
and then
they've
there's a
been
couple
waiting
of
a while.
questions that are going to rise from that.
Talking heads.
Hello, good afternoon. How you doing?
Hi.
Afternoon.
Good. How are you?
You know, great show. I just call and let the gentleman know to push on. I listen, and so I believe everything he's saying, and so he has no reason to lie. And the question then becomes is, as he said something that just I had to juxtapose this. You're talking about the fees, et cetera, and then where's the money being allocated? And so we're collecting fees, but the reason why you would see the proliferation, he frightened me because it's actually true. You will see the proliferation of boating licenses and fishing fees, et cetera, because they know they can exploit, because then they know that they will say we are a developing country, third world, whatever, human construct, and they know that we are scientifically imbecilic in that we won't enforce, we didn't do any studies. He's talking about the red snappers and the various species, and they won't grab any of these fish to see the level of toxins in them, etc. They even give us a little idea of what's going on. The scarcity of certain species is, when you juxtapose that, it's just a matter of common sense to know that we're being overfished for our size, and because we're an archipelago. So what that means is, for our population, we have a vast ocean, and so maybe I don't know if he's familiar with Ocean's Monopoly. The government is not playing it properly, really and truly, when you look at it. I'm not trying to sound anywhere near like I know. This is what's going on. They are not managing the marine resources, which is a very powerful resource when you look at food supply, et cetera, is where the world is headed, and they're not taking it serious. It is as if it doesn't belong to us then.
Thank you so much, 52. Thank you so much.
Let's get these other calls in.
Talking heads.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Naughty.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Prescott and Cook.
Yeah,
Naughty, you being a little xenophobic today. Hello.
Excuse me, how am I being xenophobic?
Because you're talking about the Dominicans and you wouldn't talk about them Haitian. Haitian and yesterday.
Hold on.
Dominicans, not Dominicans.
Wait a minute.
That's different.
I talking about the Dominicans taking all our fish. Now, if you want me to talk about all our jobs being taken, then I can talk about the Haitians. How about that?
Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, let's talk about our crawfish being taken out of Abaco. He had a guest on yesterday morning on Guardian Radio, and he said that in Abaco, the Haitians are fishing the lobster out of season and selling them, and they tried to sell it to him. What about that, Naughty? We're talking about that.
I think that boils down to an issue of an enforcement, but obviously, I could always call Roscoe and get a full update, So, not a problem. I'll call Roscoe when I get off air, and then when I back on Friday, call me with the same energy, and we'll have the same conversation.
Thank you so much, caller.
All right.
Talking Heads.
Good afternoon, Naughty MJ.
Hi. Good afternoon.
To your guest, a lot of these mariners say they have environmentally friendly products that they use to clean their boats down with on the hull on the outside. Are you familiar with that, or do you agree with that? Because at the cruise port, they don't allow them to use it. They only use fresh water. So are you familiar with the environmental friendly products that they use to clean out their hull? And do you think that's a good idea?
I can tell you that as the former chairman of the BEST Commission, now the DEPP, they have the responsibility to ensure that any kind of chemicals you're using to clean the vessel, it has to be friendly, or if it is not, you have to stop using it. As simple as that.
Exactly.
So we may not know what ships you're talking about, but bring that to the attention of the people of the Department of Environmental Planning and Protection, and they will have a look at that and look at those people who are doing it and make sure that the right things are in place. And because the BEST Commission is the forerunner to what is now here.
Notice the concern. Humans need to pay attention. They go into what Naughty's point is earlier. They're focusing on the environment, the sustainability. So we have to get this right. We have serious issues, and as much as we always cry about fees, no one is talking about 1 cent of those fees going towards the environment.
But I mean, in all fairness, right? If your business is marinas, then you're going to focus on marinas, and you're going to focus on the effects that policy has on your business. If your focal point is the environment, then you are going
it has to be.
focus.
No. I disagree with you, MJ.
No. I think everyone should be focused on the environment.
The reason why I disagree with you is because in order for you to get boats coming to your marina, you need the environment. You need the product.
Absolutely.
The product is what brings
Absolutely.
it.
But if we can have wait, hang on a second. We could have a pristine environment, and we could have hundreds of millions of dollars out of the door, and Bahamians suffering because their businesses suffer.
We have it now.
We could have that.
We have it now.
We could have it get even worse. So is there a middle ground? A place where, and I think Nico kind of touched on this, where you guys can kind of sit in a room, talk about what your concerns are, very industry specific. Like I would expect you would talk a lot about the environment, which is important. They'll talk a lot about, the decrease in business and what that means for the wider Bahamian economy. And then maybe try to figure out some way where everyone could kind of be comfortable with the government's policy. Because at the end of the day, the government decides what's going to happen in this space. By the way, what was the consultation like before they decided to increase these fees?
I was just about to ask that same question. Great minds.
This has been going on for years. Like I said to you, I go back and I shared with you Bill Poitier, the customs officer who helped with the initial increase of the fees. And then there was this huge outcry. The issue with these new fees is the government recognized what we've been bringing to their attention, that the exploitation is so out of control in our country. You got to do something, because we experiencing the same thing, Naughty, whether it be in the fly fishing sector. There's more illegal fishing lodges running in the Bahamas than legal ones. So the issue of this boating thing,
right,
is out of the...
It's wider than that. I agree. But let's focus on, I think a texter mentioned this. So you increase the fees. How does that stop a lot of what you're describing?
I think the resources have to go into implementing the things that we asked the government to do from the inception, as Code pointed out. In the legislation that was passed in 2016, it states that a conservation fund had to be set up so that resources could go back into restoring nursery system, educational programs, getting Bahamian students to be marine biologists, ornithologists, hydrologists, we have to invest cleaning up our coastline because we could keep raising fees until thy kingdom come. But if nothing's going back
Absolutely.
and protecting the environment.
Right. We should see a clear tie-in between these increases and what is actually put towards keeping our environment clean.
Let's get these two calls out of the way, then I got to deal with some text. Talking Heads.
Hi, good afternoon, Naughty, MJ, and to your guests.
Hi, good afternoon.
I'm very ignorant to the topic, but I do know that it's regarding the increase in the fees.
Yes.
I have a very simple question, please, and please don't deflect. We need a very direct answer. Why is it that the Bahamas marine fees are the highest in the world? That's what I need to know.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, caller.
As a direct response,
Yes,
first of all, I
please.
need to determine that it is, in fact, the highest.
It's the highest in the region. We've done some research on this.
No, she said
it's
the
pretty
word.
high.
She
Yeah,
didn't
I
say
know she
region.
said the word, but our competition is in this immediate hemisphere.
The reality is, nowhere else in this hemisphere you can find a product. I mean, the environment as we have.
Oh, hold on now.
can't. You don't. it doesn't make sense.
Listen. I agree with you.
I agree
with
that
you.
we're number
However,
one.
However,
Some close
I know some
knockoffs.
people in Cayman. I know some people in Panama. I know some people
British
in Costa
Virgin
Rica,
Islands.
British Virgin Islands, American
Amazing.
Virgin Islands, who are capitalizing right now on the fact that we can't get our ish together with these fees and so on and so
maybe
forth.
that is true, but guess what? When you come to the Bahamas to go to a hotel and you go to Atlantis, if they charge you $800 a night, that's what you must pay to go there. If you want to pay $50 a night, you go to a motel somewhere.
But hold on, if Atlantis rates because it's $800 a night, I bet you they can lower that room rate.
But not for good. They lower it for the time being until it goes back up again. Listen, man.
You can't do that with fees,
The
though.
Bahamas has
It need to be a set
product.
fee. It need to be
has
competitive.
But it has a product. And the product needs to be secured, like you said before. You said it, It needs to be conserved and protected.
Correct.
It must be. And so
But it
then-
also needs to be marketed correctly so everybody could benefit safely.
No.
And the bottom line, the
Those who
Bahamas
come-
bottom line, we benefit from that as
Anyone
well.
who wants to come to the Bahamas needs to pay the fees to be in the Bahamas. When you want to
Okay,
go, I said a moment ago, when I went to Fresh Creek, I had to pay $212 or $20 just to get there.
So
Me and
now,
my son.
all right, here I am calling you now, but that same theory. Well, could I got a yacht. And guess what, buddy? You still need my yachts to come in here. You know why? Because multiple Bahamians make off of my yacht while it's there. So let's save this industry. Let me still make what I make and let Bahamians make it via the trickle down and let the government make it. Let's get a palatable fee so we all could get along in this business. And we understand that there'll be new regulations put in place.
One of the first things that we must do, we have to first of all know where we are. We don't know where we are because there's so much cheating going on in the Bahamas. Not by Bahamians, but by foreigners. Hold on, foreigners coming in here and cheating.
Right.
They are cheating. They're doing their own stuff, doing their own business. Carrying here, they're carrying the money back home, or they're not even bringing the money in here at all, because some people they pay for their boat charges and stuff like that somewhere in the States, and then they come to the Bahamas.
But to your point though, if you say people have got some cheaters, at some point the house got to cut the losses and intervene and say, hold on, we need to collect off you. And you didn't win this. At some point, we need the government intervention since they're the arm of the law and they got the muscle to help us collect our things.
I know that many accountants are going to love me when I say this. It needs to be a proper audit done.
Oh, Jesus. Use actual PIP that said audit and you didn't bite your tongue. My God. It's a miracle.
A proper audit.
We had a press conference the other day, and see, that's why we have to educate our people. I think every student in school should be learning about navigation. Here it is. I'm pulling up a live shot of marine traffic, right?
Touch it again so it could highlight, but yeah.
And I'm showing you the amount of boats in our water. So
Every red dot is a boat in all waters, correct?
The red are oil tankers.
Okay.
The magenta or purple colors are yachts, right?
Okay.
And the blue are cruise ship.
Quick question. I see a lot of red. Are they oil tankers? Are
They
we
oil
collecting off emissions from them oil tankers or
Not a
God
dollar.
forbid a leak?
Not
and
a
then
do-
come on.
Yes, this I'll show you how serious this is. So I'm going to pull in live and show you how much oil tankers right now in Grand Bahama offloading as we speak, right? You could see them right here in Grand Bahama offloading oil at the pier as we speak. And not $1 environmental tax. The container ships,
Why is that? Why do you think that is?
This is the point I'm making. You know, we're a young country,
Mhm.
and it's the same thing I'm sharing with you when we went through the fly fishing industry. If you let's look at the history of Deepwater Key. It was built in 1958 in Grand Bahama. And I talked to many of the guys that with tears in their eyes, naughty, when they used to get an 18 cents raise and be treated as second, third class citizen in their own country. And approach to say, if you want Bahamians to protect the resources, you have to empower them to be owners. So when we came forward with the legislation, we got opposition by those who feel that we should only be working for them. So when you look at this issue, and I say this to, notice the cry about Bahamian jobs, and I said, you got 50,000 boats coming in our waters. You don't have 100 Bahamian captains out there. Why are you all not crying to, instead of young men shooting up and committing crime on the street, we should all be learning how to be great about navigation, the maritime sector, and all of the potential.
But I got a question regarding that. All right, but let's get this call out of the way, and then I'll revert back to the question. Talking heads.
Yes, you know, all your advocates, right? Some don't agree with others, right? Some on the show today and some others on the show another day, right? You know, I like to say to them that, you know, they think that they're only concerned about jobs that's related to tourism. You know, fishing tourism, you see, or foreign fishing in the Bahamas. You see, none of them are concerned about the fishing resources owned by all Bahamians. I mean that's a source of food. Food, the cost of living in general in Bahamas, the cost of food. We import 90% of the food we consume. You know, and we export more fish. We don't even have access to the fish in the Bahamas. You see about the snappers and things. We don't have, you know what I'm saying? Back in the day, we used to have bicycles come with snappers and snappers in our streets. You understand me? So we are not an independent nation, but we don't own the fishing industry. You see the percentage of the owners of the marinas. Every time, you know, we into this foreign investment fund. This is what it's about, and that's why Trump don't have to say he run the Bahamas, because we do what he need us to do. You understand me? Lie down and give them our assets. They own our assets, everything. Even the what you call it, the homes, the second homes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No,
Come
we
on,
understand
what
you.
are we doing?
Thank you so much, caller.
We got to get to
Thank
the
you
other
so
calls,
much.
but great points. Talking heads.
He's 100% right.
Captain Glenn Bain on the phone. Hello.
Hi, Captain.
Hi,
Glenn.
Captain Glendale.
How are you guys, man?
We're great. How are
enjoying the
you?
show. I'm in Eleuthera, but I'm listening to you on TuneIn
Eleuthera.
Radio.
All right,
And
man.
I want to clarify.
Well, if you're in
one
Luther,
thing.
do us a favor, man. Shout out Hardy Johnson when you ever hit Luther, man. That's a big listener to the show, and that's the source of the pineapple tarts from Luther. So
The
shout out
best of
Hardy.
the Bahamas. But go ahead, caller.
Yeah, I'm listening. I used to be the deputy port controller, so I
Okay,
kind of understand
excellent.
how these fees go, right?
Okay.
Now, you guys are focusing a lot on the fee from the perspective that the charter yacht. Now, you got two sets of people come in this country on their vessels. You get the pleasure vessels,
right?
Which is the only type vessel that fee applies to, and then you get the charter yacht, which come here to make money. Now, the charter yachts are supposed to be paying us 14% of every charter they do. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about the vessel that is coming here. The guy come to bring his family. He have a 30-foot boat, and we basically, as far as I'm concerned, gouging him because I mean he only come here as a visitor.
Right.
Ministry of Tourism spending millions of dollars every month trying to get people to come here. This guy's coming with his family. Yes, they're going to pay the clear customs and everything else. Now, my only issue with this is sometimes, and according to these laws, they're going to charge them to anchor, they're going to charge them to all kind of things. It's another topic, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes these people choose to get a fishing permit, and they pay an additional so much money. I don't think any foreigner coming in our country should be allowed to fish and take any fishing resources from our waters for no reason, not even to eat their food. They buy fish from the locals, if they have to come here as a pleasure vessel, be a pleasure vessel. You don't have no rights to fill your cooler on board your ship.
Yes.
Because
Thank
a
you.
lot of them, and I was a defense force officer, boat captain for many years, 13 years.
Yeah, I want you to share with them all the poaching because, see, a lot of Bahamians don't know this, and I know you're an incredible Defense Force officer who know this firsthand.
Yeah, but the thing with the poaching is this new law doesn't tie in with any poaching.
No.
This law we discussing,
right?
And only with pleasure vessels. So if we're dealing with pleasure vessels, why are we going to charge somebody with their family on their own private boat to come and visit our country?
I think there should be tiers to the fees.
Thank you so much,
To your
caller.
point, and
Thank
listen,
you,
don't be a
Captain-
stranger,
Captain
Cap.
Glenn Bain, right?
Yeah, don't be no
Thank you
stranger
so
now,
much.
Cap.
What are your thoughts on what he had to say about? And I was asking earlier, like, did we take a sledgehammer to something we should have probably used a scalpel with?
He's talking about those boaters, like say, if someone
The
coming
console,
to sail,
right,
yes,
right.
right, and unfortunately, there are genuine ones who come in like that, but there's the increasing number of those who want to fish. So we have this horse out of the gate, and God help us. The gentleman who's talked earlier, but we got to get serious about protecting our resources. Notice what the former port controller, deputy port controller, is saying. The amount. There's a Bahamian professor. Her name is Nicola Smith. She did a research to show that the recreational industry extracts more seafood than our Bahamian commercial industry.
That sounds.
Hold on,
I mean,
the
but
recreational.
Give me the name again. Because then the commercial fishing industry in this country.
No, Cap.
That doesn't
now,
sound.
me and you got to have another show on this one and all.
I'm not disputing
yeah.
it.
Not my word on it.
No, give me the name of the professor again. Sorry,
Nicola Smith.
Okay, so we
And
got
she
to do
did
some
an
research on
in-depth
that.
research, and
Uh-huh.
you could see her speaking, the former director
Mhm.
of fisheries, then Michael Brennan, and she said it was very troubling when they look at the yachts coming in with the tuna, the wahoo, and the numbers.
But
And
it's
she
not
said-
troubling at those Dominican poaches, those vessels
I'm sure that's
loading
an
down.
issue, but let me
I
ask-
mean, that's where I want balance. I
Let
need
me
to-
ask you
if,
this.
If one side got to pay, the other side got to pay too, because everybody destroying our environment and everybody raping and pillaging our marine life.
private boaters are never really brought on the coals so that they can be dragged across the coals. The Dominican and the other people who you're talking about, from time to time, they are found and they're caught.
Yeah, they're caught, but their boat isn't confiscated. They're out in 6 months
I
because
agree-
they have
I-
political
I
ties
agree
and they
with
have
that.
Bahamian
The
lawyers
law-
that have
the
shares
law-
in the boats.
The law
Allegedly.
in that regard, no, that's alleged, but the law in that regard is definitely need to be readjusted. You see what Nico said earlier today. He pointed to the fact that when he was out there, they saw something and they reported it.
Yeah.
That's what needs to happen.
Many captains do that.
So what it is, and I'm hoping that the defense force will happen soon, is to have some of the boats.
But
that
what
they
about the plane, the drug plane that they spend all the money on that Leon Lundy can't fit in, that he can't fly?
Let's ask what
Because
did
of
you say?
weight issues.
Okay, let me.
No,
let me
let's
ask
be
you this,
honest though. Come on, Code. Now, you talking?
I
If
heard-
you got money to buy an ex-dope plane, then fix it up and let it patrol since it can't be used for what it was
I
used for in
heard
the first
what
place.
Captain Bain said just now, and he's making a great point. So you look at the charter side of it. That's one side of it. But what about just the cruises, the weekend cruises?
No, I disagree.
And-
I disagree with Captain Bain
Okay.
when he used the term gouging. That is a very harsh term. Whatever it is that we say our product is worth is what it's worth. It's not gouging.
Okay,
but hang on though, because
gouging is when you have someone else who could give a price to it, and you go overboard.
All right,
This is our product.
But perhaps there are persons out there that would describe it. Maybe persons that have been coming here for a while and said, all of a sudden, you guys are gouging us.
One thing you were saying, and I
Mhm.
agree with what you were saying, perhaps maybe the fees could go
Incrementally.
incrementally.
Spoiling.
I believe
I have friends
that
who
may be
come
the-
here every year in their
Mhm.
boat, and they spend a minimum of 5 months in the Bahamas, right?
Right.
And they are very upset.
And
with
they just pleasure cruising for 5 months,
Yeah,
or
5 months, yeah.
or what they doing off that boat for 5 months?
But imagine the economic impact of someone that does that, right? That's a good person to have because of course they're going to need to eat, they're going to need some place to stay, they're going to need to maybe hire Bahamians or make contracts with companies to do certain things for them. This industry has a huge economic impact.
I remember there was a time a few years ago, but 10 years or more ago, and I was in the Exumas, and we were going from Black Point back to the mainland, and they were going maybe about 30 knots, which is a fast for a small boat like that. And I could see the bottom of the ocean. I mean, you could see everything like nothing was there. Now I'm saying to say this. All of the people who bring their $1 million yachts into the Bahamas, no matter how big or small it may be, they come in here for what they can get here, either fisheries or the sight and the views. It is not for just coming. You need to go, AJ. Make sure Noddy takes you on a boat soon. And Noddy, you need to get back to the boat.
We've been on boats.
I'm
from Grand Bahama. My parents are from Auckland's Maguana. Trust me, we know. And my mom's family is from West End. So trust me, we understand boating. And
I went to college with a bunch of Cubans, man. I know how to build boats, all right? Out of this table right here. Okay, don't blame me.
The country is beautiful. All right, let's get some more of our callers then. Talking heads.
Hey, Noddy MJ.
Hey, Jeff.
Jeff, appreciate you, but you got to be quick. We're in the last couple minutes.
Good afternoon. Good evening to each and every one of you.
Hey, man, Jeff.
This conversation has really caught my attention in terms of the educational value and the mere fact of bringing certain aspects of what's going on. Not saying we are deliberately being naive, but it seems as if certain from the Bahamian people for us to really digest and understand. My bottom line here is simply this. It is something that Prescott said that really caught my attention, and also the captain who called in. He also more or less even added to it. What is the real value of these pleasure craft in our waters? How much of the economy do they really, in terms of fees and stuff, is added to our economy that really boosts it to any significant point? Because not usually.
It's a lot. It's a lot, Jeff. It is a lot. It's over hundreds of millions of dollars, right, Mr. Smith? It's worth a lot.
Even that we're not scratching.
Right. It could be worth more.
Let me give you some factual.
That is exactly the direction I'm going with this, because here it is. It appears that we have all this knowledge from the persons who are actually out there. Prescott, you are someone who I vehemently respect because of your wealth of knowledge of what's going on out there. Nico, same thing with him. And the captain just added to it. We do not understand how much money this country is losing on a very big economic scale.
Billions.
Good stuff, Jeff.
Thank
you got to
so
get
much,
to this
Jeff.
other call, but great points, man. Talking heads.
Hello?
Hi. On air.
Make it quick for us, though. We're about to wrap. Go ahead.
Well, gentlemen, let me thank you for taking my call. Listen, so much has been discussed. Let me say, historically, the boating rates has been low in the Bahamas, and the reason why they had always been low is to attract the boating market to the Bahamas with little concern for the environment. Researchers have given us, the government in the Bahamas, that over the next decade, due to fishing pressure, world food shortages, supply chain disruption, that countries like the Bahamas in our region will look to the ocean for 75 to 85% of our food supplies. I think the government gets that and understands that. If you talk to anybody from the northern Bahamas, they will tell you of the extreme fishing pressure that they feel from these day boaters and people coming into the Bahamas. What brought on this huge expansion of boating from the Florida Keys with the center console was to get to the Bahamas within a couple hours, fish, and get back home before sunset. Those are the people who add very little value to our economy, and they're destroying our fishery.
I agree with you, caller, but I can't stand there and say that poachers do not bring to the table equal or more damage than center console fishing. And I get the center console because I hate those stupid TikTok videos. I hate those YouTube videos. I hate hearing Tad from West Palm bragging about my Bahama grouper. But at the end of the day, I also got a problem with Federico Jose llevando todos los pescados en el debajo del mar.
See, this is why they call you up in.
Okay? I got a problem with that.
I have a problem with that
And
too.
for the caller who called in and said I'm xenophobic, and if you got Haitians in Abaco doing it too, I got a problem with them too.
Yeah, equal opportunity. I have a final question for each of you gentlemen. I'm just curious. I'll start with you, Mr. Coates Smith, because you're, a former member of Parliament. We understand a lot better now, some of the motivation behind wanting us to collect more money from our marine resources. I agree. I think that environmental protection is very important, but we do, and I guess in the coming weeks and months, we'll get more data on this, hopefully, because that's what really could, kind of form the conversation properly. But if there is a 30%, 40%, 50% decline in the businesses of the marinas, which means that there's a decline in the knock-on effects for the wider community, is that something that you can live with?
And the first, let me say for my little wrap-up, and that is that the last caller brings us back to home, where we're supposed to be. And that is environmental protection. It's our product. It's our product. That belongs to us, all of us. And so what we need to do is go back to and I agree with you with taking on with what he said. Let's all get together. One voice. Decide what we're going to do. Politics should not play.
It would be good to see
politics
that.
Should
Honestly,
not have
I would like to
see that.
I'd like to see a situation like this. I pay my yachting fee to come in.
Yeah.
Now I want to fish. I pay my fishing permit. I want to bone fish. I get my bone fishing guide. I know all of the expenses in the industry. We know what docking is going to cost. We know what moorings are going to cost. We know what excursions are going to cost. We know what ice, water, refueling, bilge pumping. So Bahamians can all make money off the industry.
No, but do you understand the damage that the boats are going to do when they come into the country?
We understand that.
We have to get some of that.
We
as
have
well.
to-
I like
Yeah,
that.
but that goes
you
back to
gotta answer my
enforcement.
question. If you see a 40% decline in one of our biggest industries, is that an acceptable outcome
in fact,
to
there is
this
a 40%,
policy?
I don't think we've not done an audit yet.
Okay.
I'm not going to answer that because I don't know. No
You
one
don't know.
knows.
You don't
All
know.
right, couple
No
of
one
things
knows.
before we get out of here. Can we line up next Friday with you? Or you want to do it sooner? Because we could do it next
We'll work
Wednesday.
that out in the background. Let's work
We'll
that
work
out.
it out
Let's
in the
work that out
background.
This is a huge issue, as
But
you know.
because we definitely
right?
want to definitely have you come back on, and I appreciate you being live. But if you caught down in Andros while you caught on your boat, you could always Zoom cap. All right? It's always
My
good.
final question to Captain Smith: how much? Because I like to look at numbers. How much do you think we should be putting towards environmental protection every year? What's a figure you think that would be
The
good for
legislation said
Bahamians?
50%.
A minimum of that.
A minimum of how much?
But MJ, I know you have something I need
Five?
to share.
Okay.
I need to share with you and
Please.
Naughty and the Bahamians who are listening, right? Here is I have a brother who lives in Florida, and he said to me, this is the red snapper season in the Atlantic side of it, right?
Okay.
2 days of the year is allowed to fish. This is the fishing. And you go on the boat and you catch one fish a day, right? And so you have to understand what is happening globally, why more and more pressure is being put on our, and I don't want people to play Bahamians for fools. I go back to my original question of bring these individuals so we can have this face-to-face conversation. Who, the company I shared with you that had the contract collecting these fees, and don't play Bahamians for no fools.
Yeah, all right. I thank you very much, Mr. Captain Smith. And
Now, before
Mr.
I get
Coates.
out of here-
We have to get out of here.
Cole, let me
Producer
ask you a
says
question.
The hard stop.
You okay? You all right? Nothing
good.
happened to you from being on Talking Heads, right? So please go tell your PLP friends, stop being scary and coward, and come on the show.
You guys, thank you so much for listening. Thank you to our guests.
Next Friday, whenever it's 3 hours,
You had a
show, not
wonderful
two.
time, man.
If you have all the people.
Naughty
All right,
and
there
MJ.
you
For Talking Heads, Guardian Radio, we're out. Goodbye.
We had a wonderful time.
Flame Grill tastes better. Head to Burger King Nassau. You'll see our legendary Whopper with cheese is made with 100% flame grilled beef for that juicy and smoky barbecue flavor you love. Topped with fresh ingredients and nestled in an even fluffier bun. And right now, enjoy BK's Whopper with cheese combo with fries and a drink for just $9, including that. The King gives more food and more flavor for an unbeatable price. Taste the flame grill difference at any of Burger King's 7 locations in Nassau.
Bahamian voters, listen up. The Parliamentary Registration Department is running voter verification right now. It helps keep the voters' register accurate and secure so every eligible Bahamian can cast their vote confidently. This is your chance to make sure your information is correct and up to date. Bring your passport and voter's card to your nearest verification center and make sure your voice counts this election. One Bahamas, one vote, verified.
Refined style with elegant taste, then Fine Threads is your place. If you want those slacks hemmed or just taking the waist, then Fine Threads is your place. If you want to look suave and debonair everywhere you go, like you're supposed to be in a video, want to step out and look great, then Fine Threads is your place. Refined style with elegant taste, then Fine Threads is your place, is your place.
John Shoes and Accessories is your one-stop shop for all your footwear needs. You will find what you're looking for among the growing collection of classic and trendy styles with new arrivals every week. John's covers the whole family and has great prices, helpful and friendly customer service. Your experience shopping with us will be time well spent. Shop with us online at www.johnshoes.com. John's also now carries small home appliances, so come on into John's, located on Rosetta Street in Palmdale and Carmichael Road West. John's, we put fashion at your feet.
Crunch boring lunches and enjoy real food at a real good price with KFC's value deals. For $5.95, you can get a famous bowl and drink or a one-piece chicken box. For max value, grab a value box. That's a piece of our iconic chicken, nuggets, cheesy mashed potato, a buttery biscuit, fries, a dessert biscuit, and soda, all for just $9.95. KFC value deals have got the crunch that you're looking for. KFC knows value, and it's finger-licking good.